Welcome to the Transform Sales Podcast, where forward-thinking business leaders come to share their experiences and ideas, learn from each other, and amplify their results together.
Hey, welcome guys to another episode of the Transform Sales Podcast. Today, I am joined by Matt Blosl, CRO of Experity. Welcome to the show today, Matt. How's it going?
It's great. Thanks, Tony. Thanks for having me.
Awesome. Thanks for joining us. So, let's just start this off the way we always do. Tell us a little bit about Experity and how you all are transforming sales for your audience. It looks like mainly urgent care healthcare providers.
That's right. Experity is really the industry-leading provider of technology products and services for the urgent care industry. We really partner with our clients who are either independent urgent care operators or also urgent cares that are associated with health systems. And we really want to take care of everything along the customer journey that they need from a technology perspective. We want to take care of that and essentially power their urgent care as an operating system so that they can do what they do best, which is treat patients. So our solutions work on everything from attracting patients to the urgent care, processing them, all the pre-visit things that happen with the patient. Then our core product is certainly the electronic medical records, EMR, which really handles all the clinical workflow. And then we also handle things on the back end for our clients as well with full cycle revenue management services or billing. Surveys, reputation management, all of the things you normally think of that happen post visit. So we are the product of a merger of the number one and number two players in the space 2 years ago, DocuTap and Practice Velocity. And then now we have come together to really create the industry leader and rebranded that firm Experity, which is where we are today.
So that makes a lot of sense. I like that. Thanks for sharing. So now what we'll do is we will go ahead and roll into the core theme of our conversation here. And this is where we get into your single biggest challenge. And we try to identify some learnings that you had that could benefit us other sales leaders out here that may be tuning in. So what is the single biggest challenge you dealt with last year as it pertains to hitting your revenue goals? Question number one.
It's a great question, Tony, because I think 2020 was obviously a difficult year across the board in many aspects of life and business. But I think it was also a good reminder for businesses. So for us, the biggest challenge when you think about late February, early March when the pandemic hit, everything just changed. And for us, obviously being in the healthcare arena, we saw that firsthand. And so it was interesting because if you think about what I've been talking about, since we started this conversation, it was all about getting clients to change, right? And getting them to upgrade, their partners so that they can take their business to the next level. That was not the conversation that you needed to be having with clients at the end of February and early March. What they were facing as a business was completely different. So it took us a little bit of time to kind of regroup and say, what is the best thing that we can do right now for our clients? Not our company. It is not about aggressively pushing new products and services on them. So what we found is, and the way I directed our sales team, which is just get on the phone, be empathetic, and ask one question. How can we help? And not only is that just the right thing to do, but it also is the right thing to do for our business, because I knew if we just helped them in a time of need, it would end up paying benefit to the brand and to the company, and to your question, revenue down the road. It may not right away. It may not even in 2020, but at some point, just partnering with our clients and trying to help them in any way possible, whether that's, keep their doors open on their business, help them understand what's really going on, because we are in a unique position where we service about 50% of the industry. So we can share best practices, things like that. So it was interesting, Tony, because we found ourselves doing stuff that we normally don't do, right? Like literally pulling reports for clients, or, helping them figure out where can they get, air conditioners because they were in, hot weather climates, and they were setting up tents to get people COVID tested. So we found ourselves just letting go of our, if you will, products and services to a certain degree, and just figuring out how we can help them be successful. Because like I said before, we're only successful if our clients are, because we are urgent care. Now, that being said, we quickly transitioned to say, okay, what can we do in our products and or services to directly help? So the next step was we actually designed, built, and launched in 72 hours a COVID triage app that allowed our clients to literally triage patients, our prospective patients in the parking lot, because they were having this flood of people coming there. Had COVID, they didn't know if they should send them to the EMR, didn't know if they should send them home. So we developed an application, rolled it out free of charge to our clients and actually prospects as well, just to help them figure out what to do with all these patients that were coming. And then obviously that's led to a lot of follow-on products. And we don't think COVID or the next version of it is going away anytime soon. So I think these are products that are going to be there to stay. But we really wanted to figure out how we could help our clients. And go into the genesis of your question, it ended up being a tremendous revenue year for us. I think part of it was during the early stages of the pandemic, we just figured out how to help. And then what happened is mid-year, it started to come around where I think people recognized what we were doing and certainly what our competitors were not doing. And we were, bringing clients, signing new clients onto the platform, really after the first quarter of the pandemic hit. And so last year was actually a strong year for us from a revenue growth perspective and new bookings.
So it's interesting what you got here, because you shared with us an idea where the environment changed, and the environment changed for so many people with COVID. You guys were smart enough or empathetic enough, right? I think we can learn something from you guys in that challenge. You listened, and I'm assuming you got all kinds of feedback. How did you determine which of those pieces of feedback were going to be the ideas that turned into an opportunity that you guys ultimately ended up publishing or releasing?
Yeah, it's interesting. It's where if we weren't a nimble company before, it taught us to be nimble. Honestly, Tony, it reminds me of the early stages. This is my fifth private equity or venture-backed business, and it reminded me of the early stages of entrepreneurial ventures, where literally we met every day in the morning and in the evening, talked about what we were hearing, would package ideas or concepts up or further questions. And then we would go out and we would just test them, and we would talk to our customers, say, hey, we're thinking about doing this. Would this help? And so it just created this rapid iteration process around getting feedback, playing it back to the industry. We didn't have time to do the traditional, statistically significant, survey and all that other stuff. That we would have missed the boat on helping them. So we just went back to real early stage guerrilla tactics to just get there and keep that line of communication going externally with the client, and then most as important internally, right? We had constituents from all aspects of the business as part of those discussions. We had people from product, we had people from implementation, from sales, from marketing, support, so that everyone was aligned and we could move really, really quickly. Because as you can imagine, not only was the pandemic kind of unfolding itself quickly, you can imagine when your business is really thrown into disarray, the clients were just, the angst. And so we just knew we had to move and move fast. And you had to be, you couldn't let perfect get in the way of good, right? Because it was about speed to market. We knew even if we didn't do something that was 100% correct, if we got 75%, it would help the industry and our clients in a massive way. And that was a good reminder, like I said before, a lesson for the company remember that we still can be nimble, even though we are as large and industry leading as we are. And so I tell you, while we're here talking about the revenue growth, that this pandemic and our response to it was so energizing for our team.
Yeah.
To see the team come together and really be able to help when our clients were in a time of need. We're a better company for what happened. Now, I wouldn't wish a pandemic on anyone, but there are opportunities in business like this where tragedy you can turn it into a positive for a business in terms of how it comes together and how it comes out the other end of it. We're still not out on the other end of it, but I do feel like we learned a lot, and it made us stronger as a business.
Yeah, what I really like comes out of this story is that it highlights the power that having a higher purpose creates, for your business. It excites employees. You really feel like when you know that you're contributing to the greater good, it just makes it that much more engaging to be a part of that story, because you're not just a product, you're not just a company, you're really transforming a space, you're transforming lives in the process. Let me ask you, go ahead.
I was just going to build on that because you know what, I think that's right. And if by going through that period of kind of empathy and just figuring out how to help, where we've emerged is an environment that has taken the sales out of sales. I mean, our inbound requests are through the roof. I mean, I can tell you there's 3x the pipeline today than there was pre-pandemic. And that's not because we changed our products and services in a massive way or came out with a brand new release or anything like that. It's because of how we responded and how we took on our industry leading role in a way that was really powerful to the businesses, customers and prospects. And so it's interesting how we feel like we're selling less today than we did a year ago. And that's not because we massively changed our products or services or even changed our sales approach. It's what we did during that time that changed the perception of our brand.
Okay, and then another note here that sounds like it was a pretty effective leverage of tools is that you designed, developed, and launched this app in 72 hours.
Yeah.
That's a whole other level of collaboration there, Matt. You guys were highly efficient and effective.
Yeah, it was, awesome. And that, what's even crazier about that is I think, 48 of those 72 hours were over a weekend. So we literally the team didn't stop. And it's funny too. I mean, going back to what we said before, I mean, people wanted to do it. It's not like we were, having to convince people to work hard, fast, and over a weekend. I mean, the team just threw themselves at that effort, which I'm really proud of in terms of says a lot about the team and culture that we've built here at Experity, which is really exciting for me to see.
Nice. So I'm taking a few things away from this conversation. I'm taking away empathy, being empathetic with your potential customers or your marketplace. Let's just say that, right? Listening, asking how you can help. And, this reminds me a lot of Ask from Ryan Levesque, right? It's this idea of, ask, what's the challenge? How can we help? Then you provide a solution, or you tell them what you're going to create, and then you go ahead and you deliver that solution, and then you're able to build. So the other thing I'm taking away from this, besides asking how you can help, is one, don't be afraid to create solutions that you're not going to charge for, because when you can create value beyond your main product or offering, then you can create even more value for your marketplace and your business. That said, what would be your piece of advice for sales leaders out there that may be facing a similar challenge? And I hope I didn't steal any of your thunder with my recap.
Something that's really, really important that you need to move fast on. That's when you've got to really trust your team, right? The team that you've built. Empower them to move fast, empower them to make mistakes, let them know it's okay. We're moving fast, team. We may fail a couple times along the way, but that's okay. This is what we're going to need to do to get to the next level. And so for me, my recommendation with leaders is sometimes in times like this, it's easier for the executive team to clamp down and get more involved. I would argue this is the time to be proud of what you've built and let them go, because you can only slow it down and a lot of times stifle, the progress that they can make. So that's my biggest lesson learned from this, is to trust your, kind of frontline leaders and the people that are on the team, because they'll likely surprise you in what they can achieve.
Sage advice, Matt. Thanks for sharing. A pleasure having you on the show, learning a little bit about your journey from last year. Learned a lot from you, and wishing you tons of luck. We've got Matt Blosl, CRO of Experity. We'll see you next time.
Okay. Thanks, Tony.